A great place to start to get you ready for the 220-802 exam is going to start with a brief discussion here about the Windows OS. And OS, of course, means operating system. Keep in mind the CompTIA A+ exams are what's called vendor neutral. That means the exams focus on technologies and functionalities. They don't focus on specific vendors. And so when we're looking at, for example, hard drive technologies, we're talking about generally the hard drive technologies that are used in modern PCs, what we need to understand to support those, and to provide help and assistance to users out there in the real world. We're not necessarily concerned with whether Western Digital is better than Seagate or specific proprietary functionalities, except on those rare occasions where those things have changed the industry or established a standard. Now, while the exams and while the certification is vendor neutral, they are focused on the Windows operating system. Simple reason, the Windows operating system is the predominant operating system, or OS, that's used on home personal computers and on workstations and corporate environments. And so, in a professional setting, most of the time when you walk up to a PC, you're looking at the Windows operating system. So you're not going to get Mac OS X questions or Linux questions on the A+ exam. You may have to deal with those out there in the real world, but you're not going to get them on the A+ exam. Now, you will possibly see iOS questions and Android questions. And of course, that's the operating systems for Apple's iPads, iPhones, and then of course, Android for the Windows-based smartphones. So those questions could pop up. So just keep that in mind. But for the most part, you're dealing with the Windows operating system. The exam's going to focus on 3 Windows operating system versions in particular. That's going to be Windows XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 7. Let me give you a little note here. To find out which version of Windows you're running, you can right-click on My Computer or just Computer and select Properties. Let's go out to the desktop and I'll show you this. Notice on my desktop, I have a computer icon right here. Now, you may have My Computer, this PC or something, but in Windows 7, it's Computer, and I'll just right-click that and come down to Properties. Notice right here at the very top, a few basic information about your computer. You can see I'm running Windows 7 Ultimate with Service Pack 1 installed. And if I come right on down here, you can see how much memory I have installed in this machine and whether it's 32 or 64-bit. So you can get a lot of information out there just by going to look at that. So if you have a question about which Windows version you're running, that's the way to jump out there and get the answer to that. Do keep in mind that there are a lot of older versions of Windows that you will run into out there in the real world. And these are considered, even in the real world, legacy versions. And you may see these mentioned on the exam, but keep in mind, you are not expected to know the technical aspects of them. You're not going to have questions directly asking you about functionalities or technologies involved with things like Windows 95, Windows 98, or Windows 2000. So pretty straightforward here. You're not getting a lot of curves thrown at you. The Windows operating system is what they're going to be basically questioning you about. So I would strongly suggest that you get your hands on Windows XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 7 and just kind of play with it and be familiar with those. Now, the more hands-on actual experience you have with these operating systems, the easier it's going to be to pass this exam. One other thing, notice something's missing here, and that's Windows 8. Windows 8, as of the time we're doing this course here, is not included in the A+ exam. I would strongly encourage you, as time goes by, to keep checking back with CompTIA's website to see if they've added Windows 8 information to the exam. They will at some point, but for the most part, they've kind of been slow to update for new Windows operating systems. Part of the reason is because there's such a lag from when something like Windows 8 comes out to where it's really predominant out there, especially in the corporate world. Anyway, that's kind of the lowdown on the Windows operating system, and we'll kind of go through each operating system, Windows XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 7 individually, and talk about some general features about those and kind of help you get acclimated to these 3 operating systems that you need to be familiar with for this exam.